I don't know why he picked this picture. A man came to the funeral home. I'm trying to fight for my benefits at 9/11, and I have no proof. But this picture proves I was at 9/11. So from the dead, he was still trying to help people.
And was that your dad that passed?
Yes.
Okay, so your husband is here. So know that he's stepping forward, because right away he kept saying to me, Matt, he goes, you got to talk to them, you got to talk to them. He was rushing right up to the front of the screen. I got to tell you, when I'm connected with your father, it's so funny, because when souls get to the other side, I started asking them questions like, who are you? How'd you pass? Like certain things. And right away, your father keeps telling me he can see again. What the hell was the issue with his eyes?
Oh, I mean, he wore glasses.
Yeah.
He kept saying to me, he goes, Matt, I don't know if he had like glaucoma or what the hell it is, but he kept saying to me, Matt, like, goes, let them know I can see, I can see. He says, they always used to bust my balls here in this world, because he tells me that he had an issue with like the TV remote, with like the telephone, he would dial the wrong numbers. Like, out of all the things that happened with your father, I know that he was very sick before his passing, but the one thing he's so excited about on the other side is he tells me he can see, because when he was alive, he never knew that he couldn't see.
Oh my God. That's hysterical.
Do you understand that? It's so funny. And he's going to me, Matt, tell them they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. He goes, I really couldn't see. I didn't know. And he goes to me, I had my glasses, but I see your father like having the glasses all the way down here, like looking, trying to make things out. And then he used to get mad. Like I hear him like mumbling to himself, going like, what the hell? Ba, 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 ba.
That's him.
And then he used to get upset because he was old fashioned. He shows me reading the newspaper when I'm connected with him. And he tells me he couldn't make out some of like the things on the paper when I'm connecting. Oh my God, this is why. He tells me that he used to have like every light on in the house when he was reading.
Every light on.
And he tells me he used to get so pissed at him. He says, and Matt, he goes, I remember being at the table and I used to have to have the lights on. He goes, and my wife used to come in and be like, why do you have all the lights on? He says to me, I figured it out. I couldn't see. And he's laughing about that. Your father thinks that's the funniest thing on the other side.
That's hysterical to me that he's like fixated on that. Of all the, I mean, there were he had a lot of quirks.
You're gonna know, it's so funny about what they'll talk about or what they'll say, because like I know when I'm connecting, this man had a problem in every part of his body when I'm connecting with him. Yeah. I know that there were circulations issues with him. I know that he was losing the ability to walk. I know all of these things, but it's so funny because to your father, this was expected. He knew about this situation, right? But for some reason, he was in such denial over his eyes. Like, it's almost like he accepted what was going on with his body, but didn't understand this.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, he did accept what was going on with his body. He did.
He tells me, because the one thing that he's acknowledging is he actually tells me that he was prepared to die.
He was.
And he tells me that he tried to talk to you about this all the time as his wife. Like he says to me, Matt, he goes, I wanted her to be prepared. I wanted her to be okay. He says, I wanted her to be able, he says to keep living life, even though I wasn't there physically. And he said to me, I was okay with that, Matt. He says, I was okay with passing. He says, I was going to give. He says, I was going to hang on and I was going to live life with as much time as God had given me. And then when it was my time, it was my time. And he's acknowledging that.
He did very much. Yeah.
You got to know that your husband wants you to know, because he keeps saying in my ear, do you know how much I love you? Do you know how much I love you? When I'm connecting, this man loved you with his whole heart and soul.
I know.
And he says to me, Matt, he says, I need her to know that even when I was dying, I didn't care about me. He says, I didn't care about my illness or what was happening or what medication was on. He goes, I cared about her. He says, and I cared about making sure that she was okay. And he's bringing that through. He says, because you were my everything. It's actually funny because when I'm connected with him, he keeps playing Frank Sinatra to me. So do you hear Frank Sinatra songs and think of your husband?
All the time. He had the whole CD of every song Frank Sinatra ever sang, and he used to play it constantly.
He tells me, he says, let her know that when she hears Frankie, I'm with her. And he's bringing that up. He's actually showing me pictures of back when you were younger with him. They're black and white photos, right? And it looks to me, because I see your husband, I see him wearing a leather coat when I'm connected with him. And he's saying to me, look at how good I looked back then. Look at how good I looked back then. And I see, like, did he always have new cars or was getting new cars?
Always new cars. Always clothes. He was a clothes horse. For
he looks like a character from like one of those mob movies with what's the name, like Robert De Niro. Like, you know how Robert De Niro dresses with a leather coat and like the khakis and like the nice button-down shirt.
He was a union representative, so that goes with it.
Shut the hell up! It's like because I feel like when I'm looking at him, you know that movie, The Irishman?
Yes.
That's what I feel like I'm looking like a character out of that movie, because he's showing me like come up with this big, huge boat, right? This old friggin' car. I don't even know what the hell kind of car it is. It's beyond my time. But
oh my God, it was a Grand Marquis.
And we used to call it the
Mercury
boat.
Grand Marquis, and we used to call it the boat. It was so big. It was like
Yeah.
a living room in the front seat. It was huge.
so know that one of the things is that he says to me, these were my fondest memories. And he actually shows me that. I don't know if you just recently discovered it, but I keep seeing this black and white photo of him with this car. I feel like it's when he first got it, because he's showing me this picture of him sitting next to it. He says to me, that's my favorite picture. That's my favorite picture. And he's bringing this through. What I have to tell you is that he says to me that he wants to thank you for keeping him part of all the memories that you have of him here in this world. He loves being able about you sharing memories with him and about having coffee time at the end of holidays and just talking about him. He says, Matt, I'm right at that table with them. And he's bringing that up. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I'm messing this up as well. He's also telling me you buried him with pictures.
Yes, I did. I did bury him with pictures. Yes.
He says to me, let her know I got all my pictures. I got all the pictures here. And I see this casket that he's showing me all filled with pictures.
He picked out every picture to be buried with. He picked out every picture to be shown at the funeral home. He picked out every single thing. And let me tell you something. He picked out a picture. He was at 9/11. He was on the recovery team at 9/11 when the towers went down. He picked out a picture of a few of them standing in front of the towers when they went down. I don't know why he picked this picture, but he wanted me to put it out at the funeral home. A man came to the funeral home, and he said to me, I'm trying to fight for my benefits at 9/11, and I have no proof, but this picture proves I was at 9/11. Can I take this picture? And I said to this man, I don't know why this picture is here, because my husband said, make sure this picture is shown at the funeral home. So from the dead, he was still trying to help people. He was in charge of benefits for the union and everything. And he was still trying to help people from beyond. And that man took that picture and was able to get those benefits.
That's amazing.
All based on a picture. Isn't
That's
that amazing?
That's crazy. Listen, to me, it's crazy how souls know, right? And even like when you're closer to death and dying, there's things that just come to you. You just know certain things. So for your husband to pick up that picture, put it out, that's why. And it's his way of acknowledging that when you buried him with all those pictures, he's got them in spirit. Because he goes, Matt, I took them with me. Look at this. And he showed me the casket.
Oh, his mother, everybody in those pictures, everybody in the casket. Absolutely.
He says to me this. He says to me, Matt, he says, please let them both know. He says one thing. He says that the one thing that he's so happy about is to see the two of you now, to see your relationship with one another, how close you are. He says, and Matt, he goes, I want to let them know that I am with them every single day. I haven't left. I'm also hearing Al. Is there also Al as well?
Yes.
Who's Al?
There was a guy named Al who he was in Vietnam with. My husband died from injuries related to being in Vietnam. Al, a very good friend of him who he was in Vietnam with, died a few weeks after him.
He said to me that he met Al on the other side.
Wow.
So please know that when he died, right, and he made it over, and then Al passed as well. That was one of the first connections that he made.
Wow. Oh, that is so nice to hear.
You just got the chills.
Yeah.
You just felt it. No, it's his way of validating to you that he is there in spirit. He is okay. He says, and Matt, he says, please tell my family there is a such thing as heaven in the other side, and I am there and with them.
Oh, that's so good.
All right. I really hope that this helped you.
It did very much so.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm going to leave you with that.